Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce admin series. Today's topic is escalation rules. Let's see what we are going to cover in this video today. So we will see what are the escalation rules, and then we will implement an escalation rule in our Salesforce developer org. So what are escalation rules? So basically, you must have seen that whenever you raise a request or a case or a service request or a complaint to the support department, so someone from the support department will get back to you. But sometimes it happens because of some or the other reason, they haven't responded to you, or maybe they have not worked upon the request. So what will happen, you can set some rules over there, or maybe they have some rules defined. Suppose if a particular request was not updated in last 24 hours, and if there are like some criteria, okay, if the case belongs to this particular product or case is like of high priority, then it should be escalated to your another level, or maybe another queue, or maybe another user. So it depends like how it gets escalated in your organization. Based on that, you can define few rules in Salesforce. So what these rules will do, escalation rules automatically escalate cases when the case meets the criteria defined in the rule entry. So whatever entry rule you have defined, okay, if that particular criteria which you have defined in the entry rule, and if the case record meets that particular criteria, so the case will be escalated to another level after a particular interval of time, whichever you have defined. Suppose you have defined like within 30 minutes, if it's a high priority case, and within 30 minutes you have not responded to, or your service request department has not responded, or the initial owner or the case team, whichever it is, not responded to the case, it should be escalated to the next level. So that's what escalation rules mean. So what you have to define, you have to define the criteria. Okay, based on these criteria, the case should be escalated, and what actions related to a escalation rule, and when it is escalated, what action you should take. So that's two main things which you have to define while defining an escalation rule. The first one, based on certain condition, the escalation will happen, and when the escalation will happen, what should be done, based what should be done in terms of the actions of that particular escalation rules. So when an escalation rule is applied to a case, it inspects and compares the case to the criteria defined. If it matches, Salesforce runs the escalation actions. So whatever case is coming up, so the escalation rule started applying to those cases, and it will inspect and compare whether the criteria is matching or not. And once the criteria gets matched, Salesforce runs whatever the escalation action is attached to that particular escalation rule. Organizations usually use one escalation rule that consists of multiple rule entries. So ideally it will be like there is one single escalation rule defined, but then you can have multiple criteria. Suppose you have like a case where the country is USA and the priority is high, it should route to a particular support team, maybe level 1 support after 4 hours. Then you have another escalation rule where if the priority is medium, but the country is not USA, then it should be routed to level 2 support. So based on, so these are like different criteria for running escalation rule, and but then it will be defined under single escalation rule using multiple rule entries. Escalation actions specify when the case escalates and what happens when the case escalates. So as you know, like we have discussed also, that the actions meaning, so whenever the case is getting escalated, when it should get escalated, like after what interval of time or after how many days. So based on that, when part, and what should happen when this particular case will be escalated, what action it should be taken care. So this is how you define an escalation rule. These are few things which you need to take care while defining an escalation rule. So now let's log in into Salesforce and we will define the one escalation rule for our developer org. Okay, so here we have logged in into Salesforce. So in the setup, you have to go and type escalation rule, and as like in the last video we have seen the assignment rules, which are for both leads and cases. But in case of escalation rules, it only depends to the cases. So here so let's click on escalation rules here. So here you can see there's a standard rule already defined by Salesforce. Now, as I was telling you that we can define our custom escalation rules. So what I have done here, I have defined a test rule here. So I'll show you how it looks, and then we will define a new one over here. So if I'll click on test rule, here you can say the rule name is test rule. It is currently active. And what is the rule entry? That if the case priority equals high. So let's see what will happen if the case priority is high. So after 30 minutes, it will be assigned to another user. The it could be your manager, it could be your another team. So whomever you would like, it will be assigned to another user after 30 minutes. So similarly, we will also define another escalation rule here. So let's create a new test rule, and we will give name this as priority escalation. We'll make it active. Click on save. So here you can see as soon as you made this one active, the other two becomes inactive. So as we were talking that in like organizations typically create one escalation rule and can give different rule entry criteria under that. So we can define different entry criterias in one escalation rule. So at any point of time, there will be only one escalation rule. So now suppose we will create rule entries. So the first rule entry, will go and click on new, and here you will give the sort order. Set the order in which this rule entry will be processed. So the first one will be, we will give, suppose if the case priority, if the case priority equals, suppose I'll select medium over here, insert selected. So here you can see the third step is specify the business hours criteria for this escalation rule. So it might be possible that there is some business hours defined in your developer org. So do you want to consider those business hours only when you are escalating a case, or you just want to ignore those business hours and it should be calculated like just from whatever date or time you're selecting? Or if you want to set some business hour over here, so you can set it from over here. So currently I'll just ignore business hours. I don't want to consider business hours in while escalation. And how escalation times are set. So from what time you want to take it into account. So basically when your case is created after that 4 hours, or when the case is created and disable after the case is first modified. So after that you want 4 hours, or the last modified time and after that you want the 4 hours. So like from which time you would want to calculate the escalation time, and based on that, after that your escalation rule will be run. So I'll just save it here. Okay, it doesn't get saved. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's saved over here. So here you can see the first rule entry is the rule name is this, the order one is this, and rule criteria is this. Suppose we would like to see another rule criteria. So first we will select an escalation action over here, and here I would select, suppose 2 hour, and here you can give 0 or 30 minutes. So it's like after like every 30 minutes will can be used over here. It's not like 15 minutes or 45 minutes. So this is something standard. So suppose I want like after 2 hours 30 minutes, if nothing happens on my case after it gets created, if there is nothing happen and the priority is medium, it should be escalated to another level of user. So currently you can have a user or maybe a queue. So if you have like a queue like level 1 support, level 2 support, so you can select those way. Or if you have like any particular user for to whom you want it to be escalated, so you can select the user over here. So suppose I'll select the next user in my developer org, and here is a something called notification template. So whenever the case is reassigned to this particular user, it should be notified that particular case has been assigned to you. So we will select case assignment notification and notify users. And if you want to notify any additional user, you can get the notification from here. And also if you want to notify the case owner, so whoever is the case owner currently, you want him also him or her to also be notified, so you can select notify case owner from here, and he or she will also be get notified that your particular case, this particular case has been escalated to this user. And if you want to see any additional emails, if you want to like keep anyone else in the CC, so you can put it over here as well. So they will also get a notification or an email saying that this particular case has been escalated. So I'll just click on save. Okay. Okay, so for this notified case owner, I have to select a template. Escalated case notifications. I'll select this escalated case notification and click on save. So these are few email templates which are already built in Salesforce, but then you can have your own email templates, and that will work fine. So now our rule entry is defined. Here what I can do is I can, if you want, you can have another rule entry defined as if the case priority. If you want to define if the case priority, or maybe if the case origin is something, or if a particular case has particular comments, or a particular product for which you want to have this escalation rule to run, so you can select it from here. So you can basically give different criterias over here, and here is something called add filter logic. So if you click on add filter logic, here you can say that the different rule entries which are defining here, should it have like 1 and 2, means both should satisfy to start the escalation rule, or 1 or 2 you can give, like okay, it should only have either 1 or either 2. So those kind of logic you can define in the filter logic, like 1 or 2, 1 and 2, maybe 1 or 2 bracket and 3 also. Like here it is saying that it should have like amount greater than 100 K and close date equals next 45 days. These both condition, or if the owner starts with VP. If the owner is VP, this should uh, do the thing. Whatever it is, whatever action it is defined, it should do the thing according to these rule criteria. So you can have your filter logic over here. So whatever filters you are defining here, what logic it should be applied to run those filters. So you can have it over here. So just I'll quickly save it and I'll show you. Suppose we'll go to the cases over here. So here what happened, like yesterday, we have created a case and the case was having high priority and it was not like modified in last 24 hours. So what happened, it gets escalated and here you can see there is a red symbol coming up, so the case gets escalated. So from where you will see that a particular case is like so suppose we have this case, I'll click on this case and here you can see the priority is medium, which the rule entry which we have defined, if the priority is medium and if it is not last modified by how many 2 hour 30 minutes. So we have last modified this one as on the 5th September last. So it is like today is you can say today is 10th September. So this is like already crossed that particular rule entry. So it should be escalated. So let's see from where you can find if the escalation rule is properly running or not. So here you can see something called monitoring case escalations. So when you type escalation in the quick find box, you will see monitoring and case escalation. And if I'll click here, and here you can see you can give different criteria or you can different options like escalation rules equals and whatever escalation rule you have defined, you can give it here. And then you can have like, okay, ignore business hours or maybe any particular rule entry based on which you want to run this report. It's a report kind of thing because it will show you what escalation rule. So currently there you can see there is no case to escalate. So suppose we'll go on this particular case and suppose I'll click on this case and I suppose I'll change it to, I change some value over here and I'll just quickly. So now here's, you can see this particular case needs the escalation because this particular case was created on 5th September and there's nothing happened on that in this case. And now when we have changed this particular value, it means that it should get escalated to another level. So now if we will go and click on case to escalate and I'll click on this particular case. So what I'll do, I'll change it the status to escalated. Click on save. So after this particular case escalation rule will run, here also what you would see that there'll be a red mark and your case owner will be changed to SS. So once the escalation rule will run, it will change it to the owner as SS. So like yesterday when I created priority high escalation rule, so here you can see like it will change to the red symbol and your case owner alias. So your case owner has become who? SS. So this means that your case escalation rule has run and your case owner is changed to the next user which you have defined. So that's how your case escalation rules run, and you must have received email as well. So we will quickly check our email here. So let's see if it has notified the owner or not. So here you can see it has notified the owner because the owner has this particular address. So it has notified the owner as well. The following case has been escalated to the escalated queue. So whoever is there in the escalation user, whether it is a user or a queue, it has escalated to this particular thing. And here you can see there are details of that case. And like for the other one, if we'll go and see. So here you can see that it is showing the following case has been auto assigned to your team. The case needs to be resolved within our standard service level. So it is telling you that this particular case has been assigned to you. So you get two notifications. One is like the already existing owner will get the notification that your case is escalated, and the next level user to whom it is auto assigned, that particular user will also get a notification saying that the case has been auto assigned to your team. That's how the case escalation works. So you can have different scenarios and different rule entries defined, and based on that define your escalation rules and assign different cases to different teams after a certain interval of time. So that's how the escalation rules work in Salesforce. Thank you all for joining me in this session. Thank you.